Hello and welcome back to the Honest Art Podcast. I'm your host, Jodie King. And this episode is going to be something a little different than we've ever done before. If you're listening to this just on audio on one of your podcast platforms, you'll get a lot of great information, and the information will be available as a PDF that you can find at the link in the show notes. But it's also one of those episodes that you might want to go on over to YouTube and watch there, because it's a very visual episode. Because what we are talking about are the methods that galleries and fine art exhibitions, fine art fairs, things like that. These are the methods for wiring your art that is a little bit more elevated. So I learned this the hard way, like I tend to learn everything. And so that's how I know what not to do, so that I can share with you exactly what to do. So if you're ready, let's get messy. Okay, so let's talk about what you are going to need if you are going to wire a painting for a high-level exhibition or a gallery. Again, let me just tell you how I know this. This was years ago. I had applied to a juried exhibition, which meant that I was not guaranteed to get in. There was going to be a jury that was going to select the art for this exhibition, and it was a long shot. And when I received the call that my art had been accepted, I was over the moon. I was so elated. So, they said, of course, it had to be wired, and then, to drop it off at the exhibition space on a particular day. So I was so excited, wired my paintings, and took them to the beautiful, beautiful place that the exhibition was going to be held, and I dropped them off, only to be called a few hours later telling me that they would not hang my art in the condition that the wiring was in, and that I would have to come back, pick it up, and redo it if I wanted my work to be hung in the exhibition. So, again, learn the hard way. So I'm going to show you the right way to wire your art. Now, a lot of things that people do is they will use like the sawtooth thing. We're not going to use sawtooth. We're not going to do that. But what we are going to do is we are going to use some braided wire. We are going to use some ook hooks. I'm going to show you all of this. And within that, we are going to wire a painting. So here's what you're going to need, right? Okay, you are going to need a measuring tape, and you are going to need a pencil. A pen will work, obviously. Then you are going to need your rings. Now, these are D-rings, and D-rings are going to be the ticket for you. They come in several sizes. These are small. I also use medium, and for some larger, heavier paintings, you can get large. I love the brand Ook, O-O-K. I have used other brands, and I find that the screws, they strip. They're just not as easy to work with. So I really, really recommend Ook. So these are the D-rings that we're going to use on the back of the painting to wire. But a few other things that you're going to need is you're going to need some braided wire like this. I'll hold it up like that. I have mine in this huge roll. And for those of you who are going to ask me, where do you find a big roll like that? I don't know. Because the place that I bought that from years ago are no longer in business. But I will tell you that one of the things that I had done for that exhibition that didn't like the way I wired it, I had used just regular wire, just like a thinner wire, and they wanted me to use braided wire. So that's why I use braided wire now. I really recommend that braided wire. All right, so the other things that we're going to need to wire the painting are we are going to need a hammer. We're going to need a little nail to just make a little pilot hole. And we are going to need a drill. Now, if you don't have a drill, you can also just use a screwdriver. I just find that using a drill is so much faster for me. So, and who doesn't like a drill? I mean, come on, that's the best. All right, so alrighty, let's get into wiring this painting right here. So you're going to need oh wait, I forgot one thing. This is so important. You are going to need something like a cardboard or something to protect the painting in the event that your drill or your screwdriver like skips and you don't want to drill a hole in the painting. Again, how do I know this? Because I've done that too. All right, name a mistake. I have made it. Alrighty, so you're going to take your painting, and this is the direction it is, and you're going to flip it over on its side, and we are going to be measuring from the top of the painting. This painting is a 30-inch wide by 40-inch tall painting. So we're going to place that painting down on a flat surface, and we want to measure anywhere from a quarter to a third of the way down the length of the painting. So my preference is a quarter. I find that a third, if you bring the screw or where you put the D-rings, let me pick this up for you. If you put the D-rings, I have found too far down, like a third of the painting, sometimes the painting can angle out a little bit. So I prefer to use a quarter, and then I find that the painting lays much more flat against the wall. So if you think about what a quarter of 40 inches is, that's going to be 10 inches. 1/4 of 40 is, so if you're wondering how to do it for yourself, you can just take the overall height of the painting with a calculator, divide it by 4, and that's going to give you what that measurement is. So this, in this case, this is 10 inches down. So I'm going to take my measuring tape and my pencil, and I'm going to mark that a quarter of the way down. So I'm going to measure out 10 inches. That's 10. I'm going to mark it with my pencil, come down, mark it with my pencil. All right, so now I've got that mark on the back of my painting. So now what I want to do is I want to make a little pilot hole right there where that mark is. So I'm going to take my nail and my hammer, and I'm just going to create a little bit of pilot hole. Now, some people prefer to put the D-ring on the inside of the frame. I prefer to put it flush mount on the flat part. So you do you. Like most things, there's not really hard and fast rules. But all right, another pilot hole here. Now that's going to make screwing that D-ring in a whole lot easier. All right, now this is where we protect the canvas. So I'm going to protect the canvas by sliding in that cardboard panel that I have, and I'm going to grab my D-rings and the screw that accompanies it. Again, if you are listening to this, just use your imagination. We're artists. We can use our imagination. So I'm going to place my D-ring in that hole, and I'm just going to screw it in. And then we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. We're going to grab our D-ring and a screw, and we are going to secure that. But first, bring over that protector, cardboard protector. There we go. How easy is that? All right. So there we have it. So easy to put those on. Look at that. We've got our D-rings. They're placed right here, flat. Again, some people like to put them on the inside. I put them flat against there, and they're 10 inches down. Now all we have to do is use the wire. So grab your wire, slip it through that D-ring. I like to loop it around a couple of times just to make sure it's really nice and secure. And then twist off that extra additional wire, twist it off around the wire you've looped through. Then you pull the wire across. Now here's where I went wrong with that exhibition that asked me to come back and rewire my paintings correctly. Where I went wrong is I let the wire be kind of loose, and you don't want to do that. You want to have your wire as taut as possible. And there's a few reasons for that, but one of the big reasons you want to have your wire as taut as possible is because if you don't, the wire can stretch and go above the painting on the wall when it's hung. Don't want that. And the other thing is that it'll cause the painting to lean out a little bit. So take that wire, pull it as tight as you can, and then loop it through again. And then you can twist it off. And there you have it. Now we have a professionally wired painting. It will have a little bit of give, right? But not much. When I did it before, it was coming all the way up here. So there you have it. That's how you wire a painting. Now, let's talk about, once it's wired, how would you hang a painting for a show? Let's do that. The Honest Art Podcast is now on Patreon. And if you're like me, I didn't know what that was, but this is the good news. It's a private community platform so you can get even more from the Honest Art Podcast. So exciting. So as little as $1 a month, you can get early access to episodes, and for a little bit more, just a few more bucks, you get things like behind the scenes shenanigans that I'm up to. You get connection within the community of Patreon. We get to do Q&As. It's just a little bit more intimate, and you get discounts. You get early access to workshops, all kind of things. So consider joining my Patreon community, and you can do that at the link in the show notes. Okay, so how do we hang this painting? Now, remember, I just said, how would you hang a painting for a show? And the reason I specifically said that is because if you're hanging paintings in your home, you don't always need it to be what I'm going to show you, which is called 60-inch on center. You don't always need to do that, because sometimes a painting is going to hang, above a bed, or sometimes, I just received a piece of art a few months ago, and it has to fit between this piece of furniture I have and a wall, right? So that's going to place it lower. So for this sake, this is if you were going to hang a painting on a wall that had no other obstructions on it. And it's also if you were going to hang a painting that it was kind of average size. So I have a ginormous painting, like an 8-foot, maybe bigger painting in my house. And I definitely would not put that 60-inch on center. I'm just trying to get it to fit between the floor and the ceiling. So that's different. Again, this is if you are hanging a show, or if you've got just a wall in your home that has no other furniture or obstructions around it. Okay, so the general rule is you want to hang the painting at eye level. Well, what is eye level? I'm short. I'm only 5'4". Other people are 7 foot tall, so it's hard to be like, hey, what is eye level? So the general consensus amongst the bougie art community is that it's 60 inches to 63 inches. Somewhere in there is considered center. So what does that mean? Center means that the center of the painting, now this is not 60-inch on center, but it means that 60 inches up is where the center of the painting will be, okay? So what we need to do first is we get our measuring tape out. Let me take this down. We get our measuring tape out, and we want to measure 60 inches up from the floor of where you're going to hang it. So we'll take this, put my foot against it there, and we go up 60 inches. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to mark on the wall where 60 inches is. So there we have it. That's 60 inches. So now what we're going to do is, if we know that the painting, that we want it in the center of the painting, then we have to divide the height of the painting in half. So we already know that this painting is 40 inches tall. So what we want to do is, if we look at what is half of 40, it's going to be 20 inches, okay? So you would think that I just need to take wherever that mark is, right, and add 20 inches to it. So you go 20 inches up. But the only thing is that wire is going to determine where we put our hanger. So we have to look at the back of the painting, and we measure how far the wire is from the top of the painting. And in this case, it's about 9 inches from the top of the painting. So we're going to take, remember that 20 inches, and we're going to subtract 9 from that, because this is the 9 inches, and then that leaves us 11, okay? So don't worry if I've lost you. Again, this is all going to be, we're going to create all of these PDFs for you so you can see exactly what we're doing. But basically what we're doing at this point is we're going to take this mark here that is 60 inches on center, and we are going to add 11. We're going to add 11 to it. And so that is where we place our hanger. So easy. I know it seems complicated, but it's really, really easy. So we take our hanger, right? Again, I love these ooks. By the way, this is you can have all kinds of different weights, 10 pound. The one I'm using right now is 50 pound. I'm only using that because it's the first one I grabbed. But the general idea around what weight you want to use is, it's usually like 2 to 3 times the weight of the painting. You would think, well, this painting's only like 3 pounds or 4 pounds or something like that. Well, yeah, that's true. But if it's 3 or 4 pounds, you'd want to get like a 10-pound weight or something like that, or 10-pound hanger. Okay, so we got that. We're going to put where this hook is. We're going to put that over where the mark is that we made. It helps if the hammer hits. It really helps if the hammer hits the nail. Okay, so there we have it. We've got 60 inch on center. We added 11. Now let's hang this sucker. And there we have it. And what do you know? At least for a short girl like me. I also suggest using a level, by the way. I'm not sure if that's level, but I do have a level that I use when I hang it for a show. But even for a short girl like me, I am looking at it, and it is on center. So how cool is that, right? All right, so if you are part of my Patreon community, I want you to head over there and listen. If you're not a part of my Patreon community, I highly suggest that you join, because there is a member from Studio Elite who was asking, she called in, asked me, or actually she Voxed in. We have this app called Voxer that we talk amongst ourselves. But anyway, she Voxed me the other day, and she asked me a question about hanging a whole show and what to do about that. Any tips for, how to sell more art for a show. So if you're part of Patreon, head on over there, or if you'd like to be a part of that, move on over to Patreon. Okay, so there you have it. Now you know how to wire a painting for higher level exhibitions or for galleries. This is how I wire all of mine for every single collector, because I want them to have, if they receive a piece of art from me, I want them to know that this is a piece of fine art and this is how fine art is done. So I hope that's really helpful for you. And if you want to hang art in your own home, you can do that as well. All right, take good care of yourselves and each other. Peace out. If you are ready for a profound change in your art business, like for real, you're ready to soar, I highly suggest you get a mentor or find yourself a community. So that's what I did with Studio Elite. I love mentoring artists in my Studio Elite program. It's my highest touch program that I have. And we are accepting applications now for the 2025 program. We start in January. So if you feel like 2025 is your year, that it's time to put your stake in the ground and you're ready to go hard and to do this, I would be honored to work with you. Just look for the link in the show notes for the applications, and I would be honored, like I said, to work with you soon.